The door flew open before Tunde could even set down his phone. His mother walked in like she owned the place, which, technically, she partly did, since she still paid half the rent whenever he was shot, and behind her, rolling a small bag across the floor, was a young woman Tunde had never seen in his life. "Mama, who is this?" "This is Adaeze. Your wife." Tunde laughed. It was the kind of laugh that comes out when your brain refuses to process what your ears just heard. He looked at the woman. She was looking around the apartment calmly, the way someone looks at a house they are already mentally rearranging. "My what?" "Your wife." "Close your mouth, Tunde, flies will enter." "Mama." He stepped closer and lowered his voice. "I have a girlfriend." "You know I have a girlfriend. Kemi has been to this house at least 40 times. You have eaten her jollof rice. You said it was too salty but you still ate it." His mother waved her hand. "Kemi is not wife material. This one," she gestured toward Adaeze like she was presenting a product, "this one is from a good family. Hardworking. Respectful. She will take care of you." Adaeze had not said a single word. She found the couch, sat down, placed her hands on her knees, and waited. Tunde stared at her. "Excuse me. You. Do you understand what is happening here? You just walked into a stranger's house." Adaeze looked at him evenly. "It is not a stranger's house. You are my husband." "I am not your husband. My family and your family have already agreed." "Nobody agreed anything with me." His mother clapped her hands together once, the universal signal that the conversation was over. "Tunde, I did not come here to argue. This girl has traveled a long way. Show her the guest room and behave yourself." She picked up her bag, kissed him on the cheek, and walked out, pulling the door shut behind her. The apartment was very quiet. Tunde turned to look at Adaeze. Adaeze looked back at him. "You can't stay here," he said. "I have nowhere else to go." He opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Then his phone rang. It was Kemi. He stepped into the bathroom, shut the door, and answered in a whisper. "Kemi, listen, something happened. I'm outside. Buzz me in." His stomach dropped. "Now?" "Why now?" "Because I'm your girlfriend and I want to see you." "Should I need a reason?" He buzzed her in, came out of the bathroom, and looked at Adaeze. "Look. My girlfriend is coming upstairs right now. I need you to, I don't know, go into the room or something." Adaeze stood up. "I will cook." Food comes tension. Nobody asked you to cook. But she was already walking toward the kitchen like she had been doing it for years. Kemi walked in 2 minutes later, sharp and city polished, smelling like the kind of perfume that announced itself before she did. She stopped in the middle of the living room. She looked at the small bag near the couch. She looked at the sounds coming from the kitchen. She looked at Tunde. "Who is in your kitchen?" Tunde rubbed the back of his neck. That was never a good sign and Kemi knew it. "Kemi, just let me explain." Adaeze appeared in the kitchen doorway, wiping her hands on a cloth, completely composed. "Good evening." The silence that followed was the kind that had weight to it. Kemi turned to Tunde very slowly. "Tunde. Who is this?" "Her name is Adaeze. My mother brought her. I did not ask for this." "Your mother brought her where?" "To visit." He exhaled. "To stay." Kemi set her bag down on the floor, which meant she was getting serious. So your mother brought a woman to live with you and you are standing here telling me about it like it's a weather report. Kemi, I just found out myself. Then why is she in your kitchen? I offered to cook, Adaeze said from the doorway, still calm, still wiping her hands. You are welcome to eat also. Kemi looked at her for a long moment. Then she looked at Tunde. Fix this, she said quietly, or I will fix it for you. She picked up her bag, walked out, and slammed the door. Tunde stood in the middle of his own living room feeling like a man who had just watched two trains head toward each other on the same track and somehow ended up standing between them. From the kitchen came the sound of a pot being placed on the stove. His friend Son arrived the next morning unannounced, the way Son always did, holding a paper bag of fried puff-puff and already talking before he was fully inside the door. I heard your mother brought a woman. My sister called me. The whole street knows, Tunde. The whole street can mind their business. Son stepped into the apartment, looked around, and then stopped. The place was swept. The kitchen was clean. Something was simmering on the stove and it smelled extraordinary. That smell, Son began. Don't. Bro. That smell is serious. Adaeze came out of the kitchen and greeted Son politely. Son greeted her back with the overly respectful tone of a man who was very interested in what was on that stove. She went back inside. Son turned to Tunde. She cooked. Don't read into it. I'm not reading into anything. I'm just saying the apartment looks clean, something is cooking, and you look terrible. Those three things are related. Tunde dropped onto the couch. My mother ambushed me. Kemi is furious. And this woman, he lowered his voice, she doesn't seem affected by any of it. She just keeps cooking and sweeping like everything is normal. Son sat down beside him. Maybe that's her strategy. What strategy? To clean my house until I fall in love. Stranger things have happened. Adaeze appeared at the kitchen door. Food is ready. Son was on his feet before Tunde could say anything. Kemi came back that evening and this time she came with energy. She walked into the kitchen where Adaeze was washing up and stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. You should know, Kemi said, that I have been with Tunde for 2 years. 2 years. You just arrived yesterday with a bag. Adaeze turned off the tap, dried her hands, and faced her. I know it is not easy. I did not choose this situation either. Then leave. I cannot. Cannot or will not? Adaeze looked at her without flinching. Both. Kemi stared at her for a long moment, then turned and walked out. She found Tunde in the living room and said, very quietly, that woman has to go, Tunde. I mean it. Tunde said nothing. And his silence told Kemi everything. 3 days passed and the apartment settled into an uneasy routine. Adaeze woke before everyone, cooked, cleaned, and moved through the space quietly but deliberately. Tunde watched her from the corner of his eye, telling himself he was simply keeping tabs on a stranger in his home. Son visited every day, always around lunchtime, always claiming he was just passing by. On the 4th day, Kemi called Tunde while he was in the kitchen watching Adaeze cut vegetables with the kind of focused precision that made him feel oddly guilty for just standing there. Have you told her to leave yet? Kemi asked. I'm working on it. That is not an answer. Kemi. Tunde, I need you to choose. Not tomorrow. Now. He stepped away from the kitchen and lowered his voice. You can't give me ultimatums about something my mother decided. Your mother doesn't live there. I'm your girlfriend. That woman is sleeping under your roof and you're telling me to be patient. I'm telling you to give me time. Kemi hung up. Tunde stood in the hallway holding his phone, staring at nothing. From the kitchen came the sound of the knife hitting the cutting board in a steady, unbothered rhythm. He walked back in and sat down at the kitchen table. Adaeze glanced at him briefly and said nothing. "Don't you get tired?" he asked. She looked up. "Of what?" "Of all this. The tension." "Kemi." "Me not exactly rolling out the welcome mat. Don't you want to just go home?" Adaeze set the knife down and turned to face him properly for the first time that morning. "Home is where my family sent me. They trusted your family. That trust means something." She paused. "Does it mean something to you?" Tunde had no answer. He looked away first. The trouble started on a Thursday. Kemi arrived while Tunde was in the shower. Adaeze let her in because refusing would have created a worse problem. Kemi walked straight to the bedroom, and when Tunde came out, she was standing at his dresser holding his watch, the silver one his father had given him before he passed. "It was on the floor," Kemi said. "Behind the dresser." Then she turned and looked at Adaeze, who was standing in the doorway. "How did it get there?" Adaeze frowned. "I don't know. You cleaned this room this morning. You told Tunde yourself." "I cleaned but I did not touch. So it moved on its own." Tunde looked at the watch, then at Adaeze, and something weak and ugly moved through him. Doubt. It was quiet and fast and he hated himself for it, but it was there. "Adaeze, did you touch the watch?" The room went very still. Adaeze looked at him for a long moment. Not with anger. With something worse, disappointment. Like she had expected more from him and was not entirely surprised to be wrong. "No," she said simply. Then she turned and walked to her room and closed the door. Kemi straightened up and said, "You see," like she had proven something important. But Tunde kept staring at the closed door. That night Son found the watch had simply slipped behind the dresser on its own. The dresser leg had been slightly raised and things slid off it regularly. He pointed this out to Tunde the next morning with the flat, patient tone of a man explaining something obvious. Tunde sat with that information for a long time. He knocked on Adaeze's door. She opened it, looked at him, and waited. "The watch," he started. "I know. I should not have." "You did though." Her voice was not angry. It was tired. "You looked at me and you chose to doubt me. Not because of evidence. Because it was easier." Tunde stood in the doorway feeling about 2 feet tall. "I'm sorry." Adaeze studied his face like she was deciding whether the apology was real. Then she nodded once, quietly, and that was all. No speech. No performance. Just a nod. That nod hit Tunde harder than any argument would have. Adaeze stopped cooking the next day. She sat in the living room, quiet and still, and when lunchtime came and nothing appeared from the kitchen, Son looked at Tunde with wide eyes and mouthed the words, "Fix this." Tunde walked over and sat beside her. "You're not cooking." "I am resting." "You never rest." "Today I am." He was quiet for a moment. "Is this about yesterday?" "It is about everything," she said. "I came here in good faith. I have cooked, I have cleaned, I have been patient with your girlfriend's hostility. And at the first opportunity, you looked at me like I was a thief." She turned to face him. "I am not a thief, Tunde. I know that. Do you?" He held her gaze. "Yes. And I was wrong." I mean that. Something shifted in her eyes. Not forgiveness exactly, not yet, but the door to it cracked open slightly. She got up, went to the kitchen, and started cooking. Son exhaled from across the room like he had been holding his breath for 10 minutes. Kemi came back one final time. She walked in, looked at the apartment, warm, smelling of food, Ton sitting at the table across from Adaeze like it was the most natural thing in the world, and she stopped in the middle of the room. I want my answer, she said. Ton looked up. Kemi. No. No more time. No more working on it. Her or me. Right now. The apartment was completely silent. Adaeze did not move. She did not look at Tunde. She sat with her hands around her cup of tea and stared at the table, giving him the space to choose without pressure. That restraint, that quiet dignity, it said more than any argument could have. Tunde stood up slowly. Kemi, you are a good person. But you walked in here and decided who Adaeze was before she said a word. You made her life difficult on purpose and you called it love. He paused. That's not love. That's fear. Kemi's jaw tightened. Her eyes glistened. For a moment she looked like she might say something that would change everything. Then she picked up her bag, lifted her chin, and walked out. The door closed quietly this time. That evening Ton and Adaeze sat on the couch watching a noisy evening program neither of them was really paying attention to. The apartment felt different. Not resolved, life is rarely that neat, but lighter. Like a window had been opened somewhere. You didn't have to do that, Adaeze said. I know. She loved you. She loved the idea of winning. He glanced at her. There's a difference. Adaeze almost smiled. Almost. From the hallway came the soft sound of Mama Ton's slippers. She had let herself in quietly, the way she always did, and now she stood at the hallway entrance looking at the two of them on the couch. She said nothing. She simply smiled the small, satisfied smile of a woman who had known exactly what she was doing all along. Then she turned and went to make herself tea. Ton looked at the ceiling. She planned this. Adaeze said nothing, but this time the almost smile became a real one. And for the first time since she had walked through his door rolling that small bag, Ton smiled back. If this story held you from the first line to the last, do something about it, hit the like button, drop a comment telling us whose side you were on, Kemi or Adaeze, and subscribe so you never miss the next one. New stories drop every week and trust us, they only get better from here.